Hello, people of YouTube. It's Deephack here, and welcome to the live stream. And we are live. I hope you guys enjoyed that video there. That's the next one in my series of tutorial videos for the Harrier, and it's all about the internal sensors, the onboard sensors, the ones included with the Harrier. Which, as I said, are given how small and simple the Harrier is, they're fairly impressive. The Harrier is very much an aircraft built within some quite restrictive parameters. It's an aircraft that's very small, very light, needs to be able to take off vertically. As Tog says, it's a little bit older. Although this particular version is from the Harrier 2, which this is based on, is from the kind of mid to late 80s, and the Night Attack version is a 1990s aircraft with some 2000 era updates. So it's it's a very, very interesting aircraft. So yes, that's everything that its built-in systems can do. We will have a later video talking about what you can do with the Lightning II targeting pod. When you mount the Lightning II on the aircraft, you then bring it right up to date. You give it some capabilities that are equal to what an F-16 or an F-18 could do with their targeting pods. So you then get not just a TV sight, but also a forward-looking infrared camera. You get variable zoom and variable field of view. You have a laser. And the laser spot search. So yeah, all kinds of additional capabilities. The next video that I'm going to be doing is on the JDAM, because this video kind of touched upon it in any case, and I thought it'd be a nice idea to continue that and show you the whole procedure for how you would employ JDAMs using targets handed off to you using the ATHS system. I totally agree. The age is part of the beauty. It's somewhat like the F-16, although actually the present day versions of the F-16 that fly actually have their origins even earlier than the Harrier 2. But yeah, the F-16 is another aircraft that's at its core ancient, but in so many ways its capabilities have been expanded and its systems have been upgraded. So yeah, the Harrier is like that to a lesser degree. I think, of course, in US service it was used by the US Marine Corps, and it seems, as far as aircraft go, at the very least, they tend to get the smaller budget, and they often have to do a lot with very little. So yeah, partially because of that, I find the Harrier very interesting. The A10 is more beautiful than the F-16, says Tog. The A10 is the A10C is a very, very impressive, modernised aircraft. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please, feel free to ask any questions that you might have about that video, about the Harrier in general, about the Harrier systems. But as I said, I intend to do the JDAMs next. There's so many more videos I'm going to need to film on the Harrier because there's so much to cover. We're going to have to do, of course, vertical landings and vertical takeoffs, because that's one of the coolest things you can do. We're going to have to do shipborne operations, because obviously landing a Harrier on something like a helicopter carrier is like the coolest thing you can do. Got to fly it at night, because it's the Night Attack variant after all. Tog asks, aren't they still updating it? My understanding is that the Harrier will be taken out of service. With the US Marine Corps, they're phasing it out in favour of the F-35, although that's not complete as yet. But the Harrier will be going away, unfortunately, in the real world. But in the Virtual Air Force and in DCS, I can see us flying it for many years to come. Oh, you mean DCS-wise? Aren't they still updating it? Oh yeah. There are more systems coming to RASBAM's implementation. There's been some discussion around the hotspot sensor. I know that Eagle Dynamics are adding a proper thermal simulation to the sim, and that would perhaps make it possible to have the hotspot sensor, which is a pretty cool system in the Harrier. If you ever see HUD camera footage of real Harriers flying, you'll see these little caret symbols popping up in different locations on the HUD, and that's the hotspot detector, and it's a really cool and interesting system. You can be flying down a valley at top speed, and enemy units that you would never see with the naked eye will be highlighted on your HUD by the FLIR camera, which is pretty cool. ATHS, I hope that they flesh out the implementation of ATHS, because I don't have that much information on what ATHS is capable of, but I would expect that it's possible to transmit target information between Harriers, and maybe even to show the location of your wingmen on the EHSD. But this is pure speculation on my part. I don't know much about what the real life system is capable of. So yeah, I know that those things are coming, and they've talked about a more complete simulation of the ARBS, because I think currently the ARBS is basically always perfect and always gives you exact targeting information, whereas I would imagine the real system must from time to time have some errors in its calculations. So I can kind of imagine like target points and drop points kind of bouncing around on the HUD if if it has any kind of a problem calculating things. So yeah, I know that they're doing some work on that, and that'll be very cool as well. So what was I saying? Flight at night. So yeah, this version of the Harrier is specially designed for night attack, which means that it is night vision goggle compatible. It has the forward-looking infrared, and things like the internal floodlights and lighting can be adjusted to work with night vision goggles. So that's really cool. We still haven't done conventional takeoff and landing yet. We still need to do the laser rockets, the APKWS. Maybe that was too many letters, I can't remember. Anyway, that thing. Those are really cool. We still need to do laser-guided bombs. Classic precision weapon. We need to do Mavericks. The Navy Harriers generally use laser Mavericks, but they can also employ, I think, one of the infrared types of Maverick as well. Is there anything else? Cluster munitions, although they operate exactly the same as dumb bombs. So yeah, a fair amount of stuff. Oh, and of course, at some point, just for a laugh, we'll have to go over air-to-air, because this particular version of the Harrier is not intended for air-to-air. It's not a Sea Harrier, Falklands era, with a radar and so on, but it does have some special dogfight override modes, so it can employ Sidewinder missiles, and the gun pod can be used in a very, very basic air-to-air mode. It's difficult to make hits, but it can be done. So yeah, we'll need to go over exactly how to do air-to-air in this version of the Harrier. It's not quite designed for this, but you can defend yourself a little if you have to. Tog says, I wonder what they'll do with those surplus Harriers when they're retired from US British service. Well, I know that the surplus British Harriers were sold to the US Marine Corps. So the US Marine Corps has pretty much the entire RAF supply of GR7s, at least. Maybe the GR9s as well, I'm not sure. But yeah, the US bought most of the RAF Harriers. They're across the pond now. What will happen to the American ones when they're finished with them? Well, of course, the Spanish Navy still uses them, and I have a funny feeling the Italian Navy as well. So those are two current operators. They're basically the same standard, I think, as the US Marine Corps ones. So yeah, that's a possibility, I guess. But yeah, that's a very, very rough overview of my my roadmap for the rest of the Harrier videos. As I've already said, I will go on to do the F-16 next, but I think there's still quite a lot of content here for the Harrier. So yeah, for many weeks to come you'll be seeing this stuff, and I should be back on track now. Apologies for missing out. Is it the last 2 weeks now? I can't remember when the last time was I had a video. I had some real difficulties with my setup, with recording and editing the videos properly. There seems to be a little funny incompatibility between OBS and DCS. I now think I've got that straightened out, so I think we're back in business. There shouldn't be any further problems. So, if there's nothing else, if nobody else has any other questions, I will bring this to a close. But as always, thank you very much, everybody, for supporting me, for watching the videos, for subscribing and liking, and taking part in things like my premieres and these live streams. So, yes, thanks, Tog, and thanks everyone else who's been watching. I'll see you all